There's no being around the bush for this video, unfortunately. For Sol Seraph, this is going to maybe end up as being one of my most disappointing games of 2019. We had what was attempting to be a spiritual follow-up to Lackraiser, the classic city management slash 2D hack and slash or action platformer, and this was done by Ace Team, those wonderful developers on such weird games like Xenoclash, Abyss Odyssey, and the Rock of Ages franchise. And what we ended up here is a game that is less than the sum of its parts, and a good example of how a multi-system design can fail. But the story is that we play as the god here, who is trying to reclaim the land from evil demigods who have taken over and bring things back to humanity. To do so, we go through two different gameplay systems of the 2D hack and slash, and then the city management, which is pretty much just more or less tower defense. Now, one of the beauties of Lackraiser's design was how the two systems were connected. The better you built your various cities up would unlock upgrades and level yourself up to improve your health meter. When you go into the 2D sections and fight the enemies, that will signify beating the area. And each world or each section in Lackraiser had two levels that were handcrafted, featured unique environmental obstacles, and a boss fight. Sol Seraph here, unfortunately, just fails on both aspects of it. But let's start with the tower defense. When you get to a new area, it is hard-coded in terms of what paths enemies will take and the areas that you need to explore. The rules are as follows. You need to build your settlement out to get enough defenses and people to survive against waves of enemies who will come from the various monster layers. When you have enough souls, which are gathered by defeating the enemies, you are then able to construct a temple near one of the dark fogs on the map, which can then clear that and then allow you to assault that layer. Assaulting the layer comes in the form of just like a small 2D vignette. It's not as long or as involved as the Lackraiser levels. There are more of them here. When you've cleared all the layers on a map, you can then assault the boss fight, which is kind of the longer level. Now, in terms of the management here on the map, it is very bare bones. The game wants you to manage villagers in terms of how many you have and how many are assigned to various tasks or buildings, but it doesn't tell you what your pool is, how many are used versus how many you have left. And instead, it's just about you plopping down buildings. You construct roads anywhere on the map, or mostly anywhere on the map, that allow you to then build various structures connected to them. It's all just done very basic. The game tries to give you some measure of a synergy system by having certain buildings that will augment other buildings, but the problem is twofold. One, the structures are so big by themselves that you can't fit multiple buildings around them, and second, due to the simplicity of the design, they're not really needed. When enemies attack you in terms of waves at the meter that sometimes appears at the bottom of the screen, you can actually attack them using your own character's lightning. And there's a very basic rock, paper, systems kind of element here with flying enemies versus ground ones, but again, nothing seems all that interesting or well designed to make you want to think about. And another point is that when you kill a layer in the 2D section, the enemies still spawn there because you need those souls in order to then be able to come back and do another battle. And it just becomes very repetitive. While there are different environments and quote-unquote biomes for you to play in, each one's unique factor doesn't really matter that much. And once you've done one area, you can kind of do the same strategy in all of them. And while technically this is more complicated than Lackraiser, it feels like it's complicated for the sake of being complicated as opposed to being interesting. You're going to have to constantly deal with gathering lumber or wood in order to build your structures, but that's just as simple as building a bunch of paths at the beginning, which are 0 cost. Put down one lumberjack hut at a time, and you won't have to worry about lumber at all. The enemies on the map will follow the same basic path. They will not attack your character, so you are free to basically destroy them without any fear of reprisal there. And there's just no sense of personality to these maps. The developers touted getting some big names in the independent space to write the story for the game, but it's just like, I don't see anything here. Each biome has a cast of characters that they'll talk to, and it's just very much like hokey, generic kind of stuff. You know, we will survive, or there must be hope, we must not give in to evil, and our main character here is pretty much silent 90% of the time, and there is also no voiceover as well. So, you would think that, considering how light the tower defense side of things, that the hack and slash would fare better, and unfortunately it doesn't. And we're going to do a quick Patreon shout and sponsor break here, and when we come back we're going to focus on the combat and where Sol Seraph kind of continues its decline. And now a quick shout out to our current Game Wisdom Patreon supporters and sponsors. And if you'd like to continue this discussion on game design, be sure to check out our Discord channel, linked down below. You would think that with Ace Team's experience with 2D combat with both, or just combat in general between Xenoclash and Abyss Odyssey, that Sol Seraph would have done something interesting with its hack and slash action platformer gameplay, and it really doesn't. The basic layers are just arena battles, as you see here. You have a few ways of attacking, including spells, but the vast majority of your spells are just useless. Like, to this point, I don't know what flooding the arena is supposed to do, or your lightning strike, other than doing that little combat there, a little combo. You have a charge slash, similar to other action games, which is definitely your best way of attacking. But I found for a lot of cases that enemies would just be able to ignore my attacks and run into me and damage me via their hitbox. Beating each one of the smaller layers do give you upgrades, but it has no relation to the city building side. I was able to find upgrades in my weather magic, but I don't know exactly what that was doing either. When we get to the actual boss sections for each world, as you see right here, you really start to see where Sol Seraph's design is just lackluster. These areas feel very nondescript, there's no real sense of personality to them, and for the most part, you can just run past most of the enemies. The only exceptions being like flyers, as you can see with those bats hunting me down. But there's just nothing here that feels all that interesting. As I said, combat is very arcadey, and it doesn't do anything unique with it. If you die, you do have to repeat the whole level from the beginning, but these sections are so short that it's not that huge of a punishment. Most of the bosses went down so fast that I really wasn't sure that I beat them. I thought there was going to be a second wave to them, and the only exception were the flying bosses, which proved to be the most annoying to fight, just due to the nature of your game. See, despite having wings here, at most you can double jump. You can't really do anything more there to hit airborne enemies, and then you get free reign to attack you. You can use your bow and arrow, but that is limited based on magic. And just everything about the game feels just very generic in terms of its design. And the beauty about multi-system gameplay when it works is that it creates something that's greater than the sum of its parts. With Sol Seraph here, it never felt like these two systems were connected at all. You can tell me that I'm getting more health and stuff like that, but none of it really matters into the tower defense, and nothing I do in the tower defense really matters for the action gameplay. And it is such a disappointment in that regard. When we were playing this on stream, we were all commenting that maybe this is just like the opening area. Maybe the first world is kind of the prelude to being this amazing, unique game. But I finished the game off stream. I even have footage of me being the final boss, and then it just ends. Like, there's just nothing more here to it. And I know the game was definitely priced at a lower price compared to other titles, but there's just nothing here that I find worth it to play. There's some like nuggets of good gameplay here in terms of, again, the action and the tower defense, but it doesn't evolve enough to really feel like a connected game. It feels I'm playing a very basic hack and slash, and then I just so happen to then do some very bare bones tower defense on top of that. And there's definitely room in the market, I feel, for an elevated take on Lackraiser's multi-system design. And Sol Seraph, unfortunately, does not fit that bill at all. Now, there were talks about there being DLC and additional content, and I honestly don't know where they're going to go if they do decide to keep expanding or working on this game. Because what's here just doesn't seem all that worth it, I'm afraid. But I would like to thank the developer for giving me a press key to check this one out. And yeah, that's about it. Like I said, if you're a fan of Lackraiser, you may want to skip this one, as it may hurt you to play it. But thank you for watching this video. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and come back for daily discussions on game design here and on game wisdom, where some of the art and science of games. Once again, this has been Sol Seraph, and I will see you all next time. If you're looking for a book on design, my first title, 20 Essential Games to Study, is out now. It is available where most books are sold, and it comes in paper, hardcover, or digital copies. This is the perfect book for anyone interested in learning about game design, whether you are a student, enthusiast, or just a fan. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed things, be sure to do all the liking and subscribing that the kids are doing these days. Check out our Discord channel linked down below, where we hang out and chat game design, and come back later tonight for our regular streamings. But that's it, and tune in for more great content here and on Game Wisdom, where we examine the art and science of games.